All right, so you got a hand first, Dave?
Yes, sir.
And
I'm at 1-3, 1K max, and we're 1K effective with the villain in this hand.
where's this played out of?
That's a small place called Isleta in Albuquerque.
Oh, that's a place I've never even heard of.
Yeah, 90% of people never heard of it.
That's pretty cool, though. It's 1-3, 1K max, huh?
Yeah, it's a pretty good game.
I mean, people don't know what they're doing most of the time in this place, so it's really nice. Anyways, we're nine-handed, and got two limps to me from early position. I'm in the small blind with ace of spades, eight of spades, and I complete. So are you 1K effective, too?
1K with the big blind, who's a villain in this hand, yes.
Okay, so two limps, and you're in the small blind, just two blinds with ace, eight of spades, and you just complete. Okay.
I just complete. Sometimes I'll raise this, but I just decided to call this time, and big blind makes it 20.
Kind of small, no? Over like three limps?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. And the limpers fold, and I just call. So we're heads up to the flop.
All right, so hero calls heads up. Yeah, would I raise here initially? Yeah, maybe sometimes. Maybe over limp like three people, maybe raise sometimes with two people. I mean, it's not a great hand, but I don't know how loosey-goosey these guys are. But this is where one of these things where like I'm definitely raising a lot of king, queen off. Like I do think that people undervalue these high off suit Broadway cards and small stakes, no limit. I mean, you guys are deep. I mean, I don't know what the other stacks were, but I would much rather have king queen off here than ace eight suited, like at a not a deep stack depth. Like if these guys are like 500-600, which is pretty shallow for a live game when like the standard open is to 15 or 20. You know what I mean? I just think that the high card value actually does more. Where people are like, oh, give me a suited ace. No, I would much rather have broadways in this specific spot. Not deep, but anyway. So big blind goes to 20. Hero calls, and your heads up. Okay.
so the flop comes out, ace of diamonds, queen of hearts, eight of clubs. A flop top and bottom pair.
Ace of diamonds, queen of hearts, eight of clubs. So you have ace eight. Not a bad flop, right?
Right.
Okay.
So I check, and he does the classic same bet, goes 20.
Okay.
I think a mistake here. I make a small check raise to 50.
What? Yeah, it's whether or not you're going to check raise or not. This is a small. This is a small check raise. Why did you decide to check raise so small?
I don't know really. It's kind of a thing where I played too fast. I didn't really stop to think. I just check raise. And looking back at it, I know I should have made it a lot bigger.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, I think this is a little bit of a small stakes exploit where sometimes I will raise some. First of all, this is not a three bet pot; it's a single raise pot, so that's number one. But I will sometimes raise hands where you, in theory, don't have many raises in certain situations because, especially on ace high boards, like if I flop aces up, because you're just getting like a lot of value from like a single paired ace. I don't mind the raise here, but when you say same bet, it's not quite like I think you're referring to CLP same bet. That's not when I say same bet, which is definitely a small stakes exploit. Same bet refers to like when somebody bets on a subsequent street after they raised post flop. Like if you bet and someone check raises you to like 80 and you call, and then somebody bets 80 on the turn. This is just a C bet, right? I mean, it's an ace high board. This is just a regular C bet. So he calls.
No, he snap makes it 150.
Big blind, three bets to 150. This is interesting because you're 1K effective. So, but you made it so small. So 20, 50, 150. This is where I probably would play this as a call, and then I would really pay attention to what happens on the turn and your opponent's bet sizing. So when you like went into the same bet reference, this is how I would approach this. If I call, and let's say the turn's like a brick, like a deuce, right? You check and he goes 150, that's the same bet. You know what I'm saying? That's what you're looking for. That's same bet. If you were to go 150, if you call and he goes 150, that's where you can be like, this guy doesn't have ace queen. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like on a break deuce. So that's kind of how I would approach this. Unless for some reason, hey, there are guys where they're just always going to felt, with ace king here. You can just continue to bet. You can click it back and then just go bet and get it all in. That might be viable, to be honest with you. If you are prepared to stack off, you could make a case and just go like 275 and then just start getting all the money in if the board doesn't pair. Because the issue sometimes here is if you call and then you just let them go check. I don't know if that crossed your mind.
Oh, it did, because right after I called, he made the comment, if you check, I'll check it down, but if you bet, I just might have to raise. So when he says something like this, I just think that's almost never a hand that beats me at this point.
Yes, repeat that again, because I remember that from the email. This is a very important part. Repeat what you just said.
He says, if you check, I'll check it down, but if you bet, I just might have to raise.
This is what? After he put in the 150 or what?
This is after I called the 150.
Okay, so you called the 150 and then he said this. He said, if you check, I'll check, but if you bet, I might have to raise.
Yeah, he says that before the turn comes out. And at that point, I really feel like I'm going to donk most non-Broadway cards when he says this, because I can't let him check back.
I actually like your thinking there. That's interesting.
Thanks.
Yeah, you might have played it like, oh, you were going to check to see what he does, but if you really believe him, right, you don't want it to just like get checked. Unless you're just going to go for a crazy overbet at the end. I mean, it looks like the pot after you make the call is probably right around 350.
Yeah, close to that.
And you guys, you have like 800 and change left. That's an interesting one. But yes, it definitely depends on the turn. So what's the turn here?
Turn's the 8 of hearts. So I fill up.
Oh, wow. Yeah. God, I love to lead. I mean, now you don't have to really worry, right?
Right. So I donk out 200.
I like it.
And he sits and thinks for a minute, and he's saying, oh, wow, you really have an 8, and he calls.
So big blind calls, and now you're at 750, and you guys have like 600 left, right? Ish?
About 630.
Yeah, I mean, I might go a little bit larger just so I can get all the money in. You know what I mean? But I like your approach. I think I would be thinking exactly the same way with that little bit of live intangible speech, and then obviously now a great turn card for you. Sounds to me like you were going to do that on like a deuce anyways, though, right?
Yeah, I'm planning to donk out any non-Broadway, because I think he's got a lot of ace X, ace Jack, ace King.
Yeah.
Ace 10, maybe.
Some people in the live chat saying, would this guy ever do this with like Jack 10 suited, which is like some sort of double gut shot draw with a backdoor? I mean, I suppose it's all possible, but
that could be possible, trying to get a free card or something, maybe. But
yeah, I just see that. Like you said that he kind of snap 3-bet you, right? Even though you did kind of make it small, but I mean, I like your play here. So 750, ace, queen, 8, 8. Hero has ace 8. Okay.
River's a 4 of spades.
So, oh, by the way, as Dean C in the live chat said, he lied to you, right? Because he said he would raise you.
Exactly, yeah. I was kind of should have called him out on that.
Yeah. All right. So River's the 4 of spades, okay, and you have like 6 and change left, right?
Right. And so here I make another mistake, I think. I only bet 300, and it's kind of a problem I have in my game where I don't really stop and think for long enough a lot of the times, and I kind of just wanted him to call me with a random ace, because I didn't really think he was that strong. So looking back after I reviewed this hand later on, I was thought, well, maybe I should have just jammed and kind of went polar on this. But
well, I mean, let's say you've got like 600 to what we said, like 625 to 650 left, something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely go larger than 300. There is another small stakes exploits where I sometimes will say leave some behind, meaning like if you're playing a low stakes game and you're in a situation where you have a hand that's just like warrants a shove all in, sometimes, as crazy as this sounds, say you have 650 left, right? Sometimes like I might go 600. What I have found in my poker career is that if you will, at the lower stakes, if you leave some behind, you will actually get a higher frequency of call, meaning that like it could be as much as like if you went 650 all in, maybe you get called 60% of the time. But if you went 600, You might get called 80% of the time. Well, which one is going to show more value? It's usually the 600 that's at 80%. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about, like leaving some behind. Sometimes people need tip money, valet money, whatever it is. But I would definitely go more than 300. The only thing I will say is that if he does have, obviously, like an ace that's below ace queen, then, he's going to chop. So sometimes people don't want to call for a chop. But, I mean, he 3-bet the flop. So, and then he called the turn. So I kind of like 600, to be honest with you. So I definitely would have gone larger than 300. But okay, so you go 300.
Yeah, and he snap calls me with ace 10, hoping for the chop.
So big blind calls with ace 10. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to call an all-in, right, with ace 10.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was thinking at the time, too,
Yeah.
because I really didn't think he had a very strong hand.
I mean, here's the thing you have to think about on these boards that are double paired. This is actually this is similar to the previous hand. If you think that someone's just not going to, like, slow play ace-queen on the turn, like they'll just raise, then the only ace that plays here is ace-king, right? On these paired boards with a queen out there. So, I mean, I would think that ace-king actually, you're going to see more ace-king here than ace-10. Just going back through the hand, right? He raised out of the blind, right? So ace-king's always raising right? Ace-10 is not. And you would think that ace-king would be a much higher 3-bet on the flop than ace-10, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of leans him towards that. So that's another reason to go kind of larger, doing the hand rating, looking at the entire hand, But thanks for the call.
Got some value there that I could have had, but appreciate everything you do for us.
No problem. Thank you very much. All right. Nice couple calls here.